Hey guys, this is Jason with Glitch in the System, and this video is going to be about using the Protractor test automation framework to test the vending machine app that we made in a video a few videos ago. So basically this is just a simple HTML app using JavaScript, and it just lets you pretend like you're using a vending machine. You can put money in there and it'll tell you you didn't put enough money in there and all sorts of things like that. So we are going to go through this pretty quickly. I'm not going to write every single possible test case that you could for this, but I'm just going to show you examples of how you can use Protractor to automate the tests here, and I will give you links to the video of how to create this on your own. And if you don't want to create it on your own, you can just download the files from my GitHub repository, which is right here, and so those are down here, vending machine, and then I will give you the link also for the starter files that we're going to use for Protractor, because I want this video to be short and simple as possible, so that way you guys can get coding and get on with the rest of your day, just for demonstration purposes only. Alright, let's get going. Alright, let's get going. So first thing you're going to need to do is, if you don't already have the website that we're going to be testing, so this one right here, that you will need to either watch the video and create it on your own, or you can go to this GitHub repository and I will have it right here. So vending machine. So if you have Git, you can go ahead and do the clone repository and that'll get it for you. If you don't have Git or you don't want to use Git, and you can just download this as a zip. Once you've done that, go ahead and open up the file folder wherever it is. So mine is in D drive vending machine, and just double click on the index.html file and it'll open right up. And make sure you open it in Chrome, because that's what we're going to be using to do our automated testing, so it will be apples to apples that way. The next thing that we're going to need to do is set up our Protractor environment. So first thing I will do is I will go ahead and go over to Visual Studio Code. If you don't already have Visual Studio Code open or installed, first go and install it, and then second open it. And you can see that I've already loaded the Protractor starter files, so you can grab that also from my GitHub repository. And if you go here, it's right now it's at the top, but it might not be when you come and visit it. It says Protractor starter files, and just like the other repository, if you have Git, you can do the Git clone, or you can just download the zip file. Alright, so once you have that, it will look something like this inside of your Visual Studio Code editor. If not, do open folder and just navigate to whatever folder contains this starter code. And then let's take a quick look at the starter code. At the README here are some steps that you will have to do in order to set up your environment. So another thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a terminal window. So on Windows we have command prompt, on Mac you're going to have terminal, or if you use a third-party terminal or command prompt window, you can use one of those. I recommend that for Protractor because eventually you're going to need not one, but you're going to need two terminal windows in order to run and execute your tests. So first things first, prerequisites, so Java. So you may already have Java on your system, but to check you can just do Java space -version and hit enter. And if you get this or something similar to this, then that means you have Java installed and you don't have to do anything. If you get some error like let me just type some random nonsense in. So if you get some error that says Java is not recognized in it as an internal or external command, then that means you don't have Java, or you don't have Java configured properly. So I'm not going to go over how to set up Java on your machines. You guys can check the millions of resources out there that actually do that, but I will tell you that you will have to go out, install Java. So I am using I believe the JDK, so just take the latest JDK version, install it, and then you may have to add Java to your path. So you can Google how to add Java to your path on Windows, and then that's what's going to give you the ability to type Java anywhere on the command line and get a response back from it. Okay, so once you have that, second thing we need is we need Node.js. So once again, you may already have Node. Let me clear my screen here. So if you have Node, if you type in Node there, and you can see I have a little cursor there, that means I have Node. Let's see, quit. There we go. Okay, so if you get something other than that, if you get like the Node is not recognized, that means you don't have Node, and you will have to go and install it. So Node is pretty simple to install. You just go and search for node.js, and then it'll take you to here. Download the LTS version and just grab the one for your system. So I'm using Windows at the moment. They also have it for Mac. Oops, didn't want to download that. But they have it for Windows or Mac, and just grab the one that's appropriate for you. And all you have to do is install it, and it will just work. Okay, so let me clear this screen one more time. Let's go take a look at that README. Alright, so a few more things that we need to do to set up. So now that we have the prerequisites done, we can go into Visual Studio Code here, and you can go to View, and you can say Terminal, and this will actually open a terminal. So let me clear screen there. This will open a terminal to the directory that your project is in. So you can see that I am in this protractor, and then if I do directory listing, so I actually want, for me, I want to be in this main folder here. So I'm going to cd into protractor starter files, and then I can do a dir or ls if you're in Linux or Mac, and then you can see that the file's there. So if you do this dir or ls command and you can see this package.json file, that means you're in the right directory. So what I'm going to do is I need to do some setup. NPM is a Node package manager, so it helps you install things easily for your Node projects. And just a quick look here, we have one NPM or Node dependency. It's this Jasmine spec reporter. So what I have to do is I have to do an npm space install, and it will automatically download and install that package for you. And you can see that now I have this Node modules folder, which has the Jasmine spec reporter and another package that was downloaded and installed. Okay, so step one is done. Step two is you're going to have to run this npm space install -g. -g means global, and protractor. Okay, I'm not going to run it because I've already run it on my computer, but what it's going to do is it's going to install protractor globally. So that means when you type in protractor, and it will be recognized as a command, and you can do this from any folder on your system. It doesn't have to be the folder that has the protractor in there. If you're kind of curious of what I'm doing here, these instructions on how to kind of set it up the first time are here, except for that very first npm install, because that was a little extra that I added. But you can see npm install -g protractor, and then there's a couple more commands here which we will do in a second here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to install WebDriver Manager globally also, so you can copy and paste and run this command. WebDriver Manager is basically just that it manages the Selenium WebDriver version on there for you, and it needs to be running for us, as you'll see later in this tutorial. Alright, so the last thing we will do is we need to do web driver manager update. Okay, so what this will do is this will check for the latest version of WebDriver, and then it will install it on your system for you. If you don't run that and then you try to jump on down to this future step, it will tell you that you need to run WebDriver Manager update first. So no big deal if you forget it, but since it's here, let's get it all done. Okay, so let's take a look at the other files here. So I've created a sample page file. So this is for page objects, so I will talk about that in a different video, but this is basically the pattern to use for reusability of our elements, so buttons, text, links, whatever you're going to interact with on the web page. Alright, so the other file here is the spec. So this is the actual test case file. This is written in kind of like the Jasmine framework syntax style. So it has a describe block, has a before each block, and it has it block. So the describe is kind of the main container for your test suite. So you can see that the sample was a Google search test, and then this before each is what you want to happen before each test is executed, and this it is the test itself. Okay, and we'll work on updating this in a bit. Alright, so what I'm going to do is let's see, I'm just going to edit the ones here in place. So let's go ahead and let's start on the page objects. So the page objects that I'm going to want are, I'm just going to do these fields, I'm going to do these buttons here, and then I need these two text text whatever they are. This might be a paragraph, this might be a heading, so I just need those 2 lines of text accessible to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on here, do inspect, and then now you have ability to see more about the inner workings of that code. So let me move this over a bit. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 5 elements for those fields. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this ones field, and then let's erase the stuff in here because we don't need that. And ones field is going to have an ID of ones, so I can copy that, and then this is going to be by ID. So ones field get function return element by 1. So this is going to return an element that I can use. So I can get the text of this element, I can get, or rather get the value of this element, I can set the value of this element, I can click it, I can do things with it. So that's kind of the purpose of this. So we'll do 5's field, and I like to just copy and paste because I do this a lot and it gets very old very quickly. So you can see 5's is down here, and let's do the next one. Nichols field, this is going to be Nichols. The next is Dimes field, and this is Dimes. Okay. All right. So that's that. Looks like I need one more. Quarters field. Okay. All right. So I have all that. Let me fix up my spacing here. And the next thing I need to do is get these buttons here. So inspect. So just like the other ones, I can just use Coke button. ID is Coke. And Moxie button. The ID of Moxie. Fresca. With an ID of Fresca. And tab with an ID of tab. Okay, and let's see, what else do I need here? So I need this cancel button. So ID of cancel. So it looks like I made things easy on myself by adding IDs to everything. And then I need this. So let's take a look at this text here. So that's an H2 and another H2. So total entered. So I think that total entered is always going to be the same, but this paid section is going to be updated. So I just care about that one. So let's say paid text, and that one has an ID of paid. And then I think this is the last one. So last one is message. So message text, and that's going to have an ID of message. Okay, so we can save that. One thing I'm going to do is I need to change this up here because I don't want to go to that web page. I want to go to this file. So this is going to open the browser window to this URL or this file path when my test runs. Okay, so that's done. Let's go ahead and work on this. So first of all, describe. It's not Google search. We're going to call this vending machine. And let's see. That's fine. So this part right here, since it's protractor, we need to add that, or else it will fail, because this is just a plain HTML JavaScript site, and this synchronization is looking for a protractor or a Angular site. So it will fail and say this is not an Angular site if you don't have that set like that. So basically just leave all of this stuff alone. Okay, so let me delete that comment. All right, so syntax for this is going to be should do something, right? So let's say should buy a soda with exact change. All right, so we're going to put the exact amount of money and buy the soda. So I can get rid of all of this in here. Okay, so I don't remember, let me refresh this. I don't remember how much the soda costs. So let's see. So it looks like the soda cost $1.30. So I'm going to put a comment up here. $1.30 for the soda. Okay, so to access our page objects, I'm going to right click on this and let's see, split right, so I can see the names of the page objects. And I don't really care about what the values are or the rest of the stuff on the right is, because I can tell what they are by the name. Okay, so to access the things in the page object, we're just going to use this sample page. We're just going to use this sample page right here to do something. So we're going to do sample page dot, and then what field do we want? We want ones. So ones field, and make sure it's spelled correctly there. All right, and then dot, and then we're going to have to do some method on it. What we're going to do is we're going to do a send keys, and we're going to put 1 in there. Okay. All right, so it's $1, and then we're going to do sample page dot, let's see, let's do the quarters field dot send keys, and then we want 1/4, and then sample page dot nickels field dot send keys, right there. And after we do all that, we need to do sample page dot, let's see, we'll just do a Coke. So Coke button dot click. All right. Save that. Okay, so we have everything we need on our test right now, so we're actually able to run it. One thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to put a browser.sleep in here, just because this test is going to go flying by so fast that we won't even be able to see what's happening. So I'm going to put 5,000, which is milliseconds, so that equals 5 seconds. Alright, so what we're going to need to do is, remember how I said earlier you need 2 command prompt windows? So Visual Studio Code will be our first one, and then this other command prompt is we're going to run WebDriver Manager. So WebDriver dash underscore, let's see, dash manager, and then start. You spell WebDriver correctly. Okay, so this needs to be up and running. If you ever want to kill it, you just do Control C or Command C, and you can just hit it a couple times and it'll close eventually. Alright, so let me start that back up again. Okay, I'm going to minimize that because I don't need to look at it anymore. Okay, so inside of your directory where, as I said, you can see this test underscore config file, we're going to run protractor space test underscore conf.js and hit enter. And it looks like it opened up on a separate window, and it happened so fast, but you can see that it says Coke was dispensed, and that only happens when something happens. So let's add this sleep in a couple other places just so that we can see what exactly is happening. Okay, so I've added that sleep after each step, so you should be able to see more clearly of what actually happened. Like it's adding 1 to this thing. It's kind of weird that we're adding it after the 0, but that's fine, because 0, 1 is the same thing as 1. So there we go, we are good. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and remove those sleeps because I don't need them anymore, and I'm actually gonna remove this one down here. And the final thing that we need is we need to do some verifications. So what I can do a verification on is this line right here, because when I do this, we're expecting it to say Coke has been dispensed. Okay. Alright, so to do a verification, we're going to do expect sample page dot, let's see, what did we call this? Message text. So this is the expected, and then we're going to do get text. So this is a method that gets the inner text. So this is the actual value, and the next thing we need is the expected. So I can just put 2 single quotes there, and let's copy this instead and put that in there, and we can save that, and let's go ahead and run that test again. And it says everything passed, but this is coding in JavaScript, so sometimes things pass or fail when they didn't actually pass or fail, so I like to make sure that it actually is doing what it's saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another dot after that string there, And let's run it one more time. So this time it should fail, and we're expecting that. Okay, and indeed it did pass, so something is wrong here. So let's see. So I'm using the wrong syntax here for my test. So what it actually needs to look like is this. So expect sample page.messagetext.getText and the parentheses there, and then outside of that second closing parentheses I need to do .to equal, and then put that in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this one more time. And it's opening on my other window, so you can't see it, but you can see now it says Coke has been dispensed to equal Coke has been dispensed with 2 dots. So now our assertion is working correctly. Let's fix that and make sure that it passes. Okay, and now it passed. All right, so it's been a little bit, so I'm probably not going to write any more tests right now, but feel free to take this on and write additional tests for this. It's pretty much ready for you to go to throw any sort of test in here. If you wanted to do extra validations to make sure that this is correct, or this is correct right here, since we didn't create page objects for those, feel free to go ahead and do that. But if you're interested in learning more about Protractor, feel free to check out my Udemy course on Protractor test automation. I will put the link for that also in the description. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time.